of a changing marketplace, that's all.
That's money talk.
Yeah.
Let's talk money.
Good evening, morning, afternoon, whatever it is, wherever you are, everybody. How you doing today? It's a cold one for me here, as you can probably see, but that's not going to stop me from doing some price checking. Now, I have not put out a price check episode in a little while, and that's been due to the fact that I haven't really been playing solos, so I haven't been able to gather up a full tab of, junk to price check through unidentified. So we're gonna have to settle for some pre-ID'd gear, though I promise I haven't looked through this already. This is all just stuff that's been picked up while I was doing some party play with friends, ID'd and thrown at me to price for them. I haven't looked it over. I still need to look it over. Since I'm doing all this pricing anyway, I figured you guys might be interested in seeing the end result. This does mean that a lot of this gear is going to be sort of more likely to be higher quality stuff in the first place. For my price check episodes, generally I tried to pick up a large variety of bases that newer players might be picking up and that might be curious about. This will be sort of a more advanced price check episode where it's basically just going to be bases that, you know, people going quickly in high tier content, trying to make lots of money, will pick up, which that could be somewhat informative in and of its own right. So let's get started. We've got this whole tab. You see a lot of Elder and Shaper items here. We've been doing a lot of Shape Vault with Elder and Shaper touched influence on the map. A lot of jewelry, a lot of jewels, that sort of thing is what we're looking out for. So let's get started. And some of it is almost guaranteed to be good, at least one or two decent pieces of rare gear, because a lot of it is sort of pre-vetted by the party as they hand it to me. So level 20 decoy totem. Oftentimes, unless it's a really good base, which Goliath Greaves are a pretty good base actually, this is eye level 83, so that could be valuable just by dint of the base. But a lot of times, unless it's a really good base, what I'm looking for on a Shaper touched item is basically the same as what I'd be looking for on another item, and then a good Shaper roll. So it's actually kind of difficult to get a good Shaper touched item or Elder touched item or what have you, but it's very worth it if you do. It's something of a gamble, but they don't drop very often, so it's definitely worth picking them up. It's not exactly a very costly one, and usually it doesn't pay off, but when it does, it pays off big time. And so far this league, I've had a few 3 to even 8 Exalt sales on Shaper Elder touch pieces of gear. So keep an eye out for these things, learn to assess them, and learn through trial and error. I mean, if you sell something really fast, really low, then, you know, maybe next time you come across something that's got those kind of mods, you list it a bit higher. But let's actually just check and see if this base has any value to begin with. Goliath Greaves are pretty good. I think Titan Greaves are tier 1, but Goliath Greaves aren't bad. So we're going to look for Goliath Greaves that are shaped and item level 83 minimum. And we're going to see if that just has any value to it. It looks like it's maybe 3 or 4 chaos just for the base. So we could just list it at that, but let's head back over and assess the rolls that we've got. It's got a life roll and a resist. That's a good start, but boots really need movement speed to see any use. And I don't think level 20 decoy totem is going to be replacing that. So at best, we'll see a sale maybe based on the base item itself. So we can list it for that. 3C seem to be reasonable. And we'll let that sit, see if it gets us any money. That's not particularly valuable. On an amulet, we're looking for life, resistances, some damage mods. Cast speed is good. It's actually a pretty good cast speed roll, but it hasn't got the core of life and res that we need to sell. Cold damage, crit chance doing melee weapons could be synergistic, but jewels, particularly non-abyssal jewels, have to be pretty good this league in order to sell, and missing a life roll is something of a death sentence, unless it's a 4 prop with 4 synergistic props, or maybe a 3 prop with multiple crit multi-rolls. No life, so probably can't be sold, but it does have a decently high ES roll, some all-res. It's on a crit base. It's got a stat, albeit a weak one. We could try to list this for a few chaos. Spell damage wielding a staff, lightning res, attack, and cast speed. Not particularly impressed by that. Some cast speed and spell damage with the staff does, you know, work out pretty nicely for like a Pledge of Hands build or a Whispering Ice build, if those still exist. But, yeah, I doubt that would sell too quickly, if at all. 4 to 9 fizz to attacks, some ES, again, not particularly impressive. 2 very good resistance rolls and crit multi. I like that. Sadly, we're missing a life roll, but this may have an open prefix. I don't think crafting life on an amulet is going to be worth it this far into the league, though. We're not particularly far. I think we're still within the first month, but In the first few days of the league, I would maybe try to craft life on that and sell it. Though crafted life on jewelry does cost, I believe, 4 chaos? 3 or 4 chaos, so early in a league that may not be worth it still. It's just difficult to get something like this to sell without a life roll. Perhaps. We'll give it a shot. I don't think I'm going to craft a life on it myself. I think I'll just list it at a few chaos and see whether or not it sells. Deicide Mask, I level 81. A base that's not particularly sought after. Usually you want pure bases, meaning, you know, pure ES, pure armor, pure evasion is what people are going to be crafting on. And the rolls are fairly bricky. +3 flat evasion, +4 flat energy shield. Okay life roll, but nothing to write home about. 103 life, 34 cold res, and 8% of physical taken as lightning. Seems like a pretty good combo. Problem is this is a chest piece, and we're in a life meta right now with some particularly good chest pieces for life builds. Belly of the Beast, Calm's Heart, even things like Impulse's Broken Heart. There are some really, really good chess pieces out there that this thing is competing with. I don't think that it beats out that competition, especially not with any links on it. So I don't think this will sell. 83 life and Tri-Res on a Stygian Vise. Good work. That is the one good belt base that's left in the game. Oh, God. 30% movement speed, lacking any life, though. It's got a little bit of totem damage on it, which could be neat. If this had a good life roll, that would actually be fairly valuable, I think. But without one, well, crafted life on boots is okay. How high can that go? This episode may be a little more lengthy than others, as we do have a lot of interesting items to look at. I hope you guys don't mind. 55 to 64 life with a strength roll and some totem damage. Honestly, the level 18 spell totem is not super important. I'm just more wondering what a pair of boots with 20% increased damage, 30 move speed, a res, and some decent life might be worth. That's probably worth crafting life on. That's a solid pair of boots, I think. Maybe I should have looked this up before taking that risk, but it's okay. It's just 4C. Alright, let's look for anything similar to these on the market. So we're going to look for boots. The movement speed is its most valuable asset, I think, so we're going to be pretty strict on that roll and just say only 30%. Totem damage. Can we get that as an explicit? Yeah. As a shaped explicit, and just to be sure, we're going to tap that box. Oh, it's Elder, actually. Elder. Yes. Either. So Shaper can roll totem damage as well. Interesting. Elder, totem damage. Maybe that's on something different than boots. And then we've got our life roll of around 73 is our total life, factoring in the strength. So we're just going to put in like 60 minimum life. We're going to see what we find just with that. 10 results. We're looking at 10C as our base price here for boots that are pretty similar to ours, but lacking a resist. So that's solid. However, they have been up for a week without selling. 1X. These have higher life than ours. And I believe a better resist as well. Yeah, very slightly, but a better resist. For 3 hours. Maybe not an accurate price. Yeah, we're getting higher on resists and more importantly higher on life rolls as we go up here. So this also seems fairly comparable to ours, but minus the resist. So these both don't have the resist. These have better values than ours. So it's somewhere between this price. It's where we should start it. In Exile right now is 90C and this is 20. So that's a pretty wide range. I think I'm going to start it at around 35. I think these are overvalued. This has been up for 2 weeks. This has been up for 2 weeks. It's been up for a week. So I think around like 25 to 30 chaos is more of an accurate price for this. If there's even a market out there. I think the problem with this item is that people aren't going to be searching for it. Not that it isn't good. Just when I go to look for a pair of boots, I'm not going to type in totem damage. I didn't even know that they could roll that up until now. As more people play with these items, since these are part of an expansion and not just the Abyss League, they're part of the War for the Atlas expansion, Elder and Shaper Touched items will be in the game permanently. They may see some changes. They may see a rework even in future, but they will be a part of the game for a long time to come. So people will get more familiar with the rules and maybe be keeping an eye out for them more consistently in the future. Might be easy to move them. We got a Coronal Mall here with... what's even the Shaper mod on that? Does that not have a Shaper mod? The Life Leech, perhaps? I thought that was a regular affix. A good roll. I actually don't see something that jumps out at me as the Shaper mod. Maybe the Sun Duration and Bleed, or yeah, it has to be the Life Leech if there is a Shaper mod on that. I thought that weapons could roll Life Leech, but I suppose I was incorrect. I don't do a lot of weapon crafting. Let's look up just the value of this base. I do know that Coronal Maul is quite a nice base, and we've got a eye level 82 version, so Coronal. And eye level 82 and shaped. Let's see what's the base value of that. 4 or 5 chaos? The rolls on this are pretty bad, though. Regardless of which one is the Shaper mod. So we'll just list this at 4C and hope it sells based on just the item itself. Alright, moving on to the next one. Burning damage, minion life, max life burning damage. Don't think a Harlequin base is all that good. But, you know, just to be on the safe side. Generally, hybrid bases don't sell for much, but just to be on the safe side, we'll make sure. This is Elder Touched. Elder, yes. Item level 82, I think it was. 81. Yeah, it's 1 Chaos, 1 Alch, which means it's valueless, so that's just vendor food. Alright, we've got this Volscepter here that has some interesting rolls. That could actually be pretty good as, I don't know, an offhand or even a main hand for some sort of spellcaster. You get level 20 spell cascade. I don't think that's too important. It's mainly just that you get 40 plus 23 is 62, 77, 77% increased damage for something that can take advantage of spell, cold, and area damage. And then 26% of physical is extra damage of random element, which, you know, just screams Glacial Cascade to me. Because Glacial Cascade is base physical, so it would actually take advantage of that last mod, and it would get all of the increased modifiers. Its attacks per second is pretty low, though, is the main problem with it, I think. So you're not going to have a very snappy shield charge or leap slam or what have you. I don't know what value that would hold. I actually want to hold on to that and use it in a future build, actually. So instead of price checking that, that's just going to go into my box of interesting Shaper items, which I may or may not use in the future. That is a Ursine Pelt, which is I-81 and Shaper Touch, so let's check the price on that base. This is a lot of what price checking is for Shaper and Elder items, and something you should definitely get in the habit of doing, so we want to swap this out. Ursine Pelt is, I believe, the second best base for evasion. I-81, Shaper, not Elder. We'll see that it's just a Chaos or two. Generally speaking, when you're trying to like sell a base like that, most people aren't going to pay much money at all for second best. You know, they want just the best in that category, because if you're investing thousands of alts or regals or however much currency you are into crafting on that base, you don't want to start from a bad position. You don't want to start from the second best base. You know, you pay an extra 6, 10, 20, whatever chaos in order to get a good base, so that all that further investment is sort of being invested at maximum efficiency. And Apex Rapier is not a good base. I know that off the top of my head, so that's not going to sell. Imbued Wand is a pretty good base, but I've already actually looked this up before. A Elder Touched Imbued Wand is not really worth much by itself, and I wouldn't say those rolls give it much value either. That's a eclectic combination of things. It's got a decent amount of flat LE for a Wander, but it's only 2 rolls, and a 3-prop jewel is almost necessary to sell an Abyssal Jewel, given how many of those damn things there are. And, God, oh yeah, that amulet. And this ring. Alright. This ring, we can just pop up for 5C. This belt, I don't think actually has that much value, but I will use it as an example of just how far the belt market has fallen currently. If you've been playing Abyss at all, you know that Stygian Vises drop everywhere. You get, you know, hundreds and hundreds of them over the course of, you know, the few days of play. And how much resist does this have? 50, 70, 88. 88%. Pseudo total elemental resistances of, let's say, 80. And then a life roll of also 80. So this is like a decent belt. In previous leagues, a belt with 80 all res, or 80 total res, 80 plus life, on a good base, probably would have sold for 4 to 8 chaos, somewhere in that range. On Stygian Vise, which I think is the best base at the moment, it's 80 total res and 80 life, we're looking at 1C, and generally speaking, things at 1C don't even sell most of the time.
Yes.
So yeah, that's just vendor food, despite looking quite nice, sadly. And that amulet that we found earlier, it's because there's so many belts. The market is oversaturated and there's simply not enough demand. So unless your belt is one of the best belts, it's not going to sell. You get this huge divide between the majority of belts being at 1 to 3 chaos, and then some belts being like multiple exalts. Let's see, what can I craft on this right now? I don't know what you're doing in there. I could craft a life roll. I don't think it's worth crafting a life roll, but we'll see. We'll see. Let's give it a look-see. It's also an Onyx base, so it has a little bit of strength in the implicit to help that out, but let's actually specifically look for an Onyx base, because Onyx is, in my opinion, the best base, and so that is adding some amount of value to it. It's got 27 crit multi, so we're going to look for 20 crit multi. We're going to be pretty generous on that. Maybe I shouldn't. I might have to tighten that up. And then 87% resist between 2 resist rolls. Resistance, total elemental resistance of 80. And then we'll look for something with like specifically the amount of life we could get out of a crafted roll. So we can get up to 40-ish life on a crafted roll. So life maximum 45. 1C, 2C, what are these? So that one's got, oh, we should have put in a minimum. We're going to put in a minimum of like, say, 25. Otherwise we'll get things with like any amount of strength showing up. 2 results. We're looking at 5. This is 33 crit multi, but it's also very importantly got flat fizz, which we don't have. We've got percent evasion and max ES. Those are our other rolls. This one's also got flat fizz. So, let's check offline, because that is adding just a crap load of value. That is definitely worth crafting flat life on. I don't think this is going to sell at 5x. This is a little high. This guy's asking a good amount for that, but that is definitely worth a good amount of money. 7 results. 12C, 15. This seems more reasonable. That's higher crit multi than us. This is actually basically our amulet. This is our amulet, but he has more crit multi. So they got it up for 12C. And then 1.5x, 15 chaos. Pretty big jump here. This one's got spell damage though, this one doesn't. This one does have flat fizz. This is actually like really comparable to that 5x amulet, but it's got lower crit multi. This is why I don't think that 5x amulet will actually sell at 5x. It does have lower flat fizz too. 11 to 21, 10 to 16, but 10 to 16 is still pretty good. Anyways, that aside, I think we should craft flat life on this, just judging by that search. And list it for 15 chaos or so. And we hit the perfect roll. Nice. Not bad. So since we hit a perfect roll, I'm just going to put this up for 20C to start with. And give that a bit to sell. And this was sitting in my blessing font. Alright, let's go through the rest of this tab. May take a bit of doing, as I said, since most of this gear is going to be worth spending a bit of time on, and there's a lot of Shaper and Elder items in particular. This episode may be a bit longer than most. I know some people will like that. I apologize to those of you who wanted a shorter, snappier episode.
Ready for the hunt?
Mirrored Corrupted. Some crit chance, a lot of stats, and I think that's almost perfect life, if not perfect life. So that could still be worth something. Sadly, no resistance. That's what's holding this back. Also, crit chance is worse than multi, but crit chance isn't bad. That's pretty garbage. That's pretty garbage. 11 life, 5% life. Eh. Well, no, 5% life is fine on the Jewel. It's more the 5% life and then nothing else really great. Minion life doesn't enthuse me. 8% ES, a lot of stats, nothing else really going for it. 50 life is kind of low. 50 life crit multi, early in the league this could definitely sell. At this point, I don't think so. 27 crit multi is not super impressive. It's good though. 50 life is definitely not very good. That is an eye level 83 Elder Touch 2-stone ring, so that is worth a lot just by the base. I might want to save that to craft on, actually, to try and hit Curse on Hit. That could be worth quite a lot. Just like that Curse on Hit ring that we got in a price check episode a few weeks back now? Back towards the very start of the league, that sold for a good amount. 94 life, 23 fire res. It's on a Shaper base. It's got some lightning damage to spells, which is neat. Let's look this up. Let's see. What's a helmet with some lightning damage to spells, life, and a decent resist going for? That would be a shaped mod. Lightning damage to spells, life over say 80, and like 1 resist. So you guys know this trick. Number elemental resistance is max 1. And resistance. Total elemental resistance minimum 25. So this will search for 1 resist 25 or higher. 41 results. We're looking at 3-5 chaos, somewhere in that range. I think 3C is pretty safe because this is very similar to our helmet. I mean, it's been up for a week. It's been up for a week. It's been up for a week. I don't think it's actually got any value. I don't see where this is particularly useful. And Fluted Bassinet is not a great base, so I'll give it a chance to sell it through chaos, but I seriously doubt it will. Alright, back to Torah. 29 life. Not too impressed. Eye level 73, but that's a pretty good ring right there. Oh, that's the ring I was using in this build. Actually, I was using that ring in this build to solve my mana problems for a little while. I should set that aside in case I need it again. Okay. I don't know how that got into a dump tab. Whew. That's good. 50 life is about as high as Abyssal Jewels go, isn't it? Yeah, that's I-83. I think they can go like 52 life on an I-86 space. But yeah, 50 life is damn good. Crit multi and then chaos damage to spells. That's kind of really good for Dark Pact. That's really good for a Dark Pact totem build. This is what I played earlier this league, so that's worth something for sure. I am not sure how much to list that for. Like, it exalts or something like that. Let's check. Let's give it a look-see. 50 life alone gives it a lot of value. Jewel. Look for life. Minimum 50. Well, minimum 45. Minimum 45. And multi. So let's just do that. See how much stuff comes up? Probably a good amount of stuff, right? 134. But we're looking at like 10C as the base price for just life and the crit multi. And then we add chaos damage to spells. Eight results. We're looking at 20C for... This is quite similar, but the flat chaos damage is lower than ours, I think. How much was ours? 8 to 13. How high does this roll go? 11 to 16. Yeah. This is basically ours here. It's up for 1x. Has been up for almost a week though. It's up for 1x. That's a little better than ours. I think 1x is a safe starting point for this, actually. Well, that's a nice find. Not certain it'll sell at that point, and at least not sell very quickly, but that's a damn nice jewel. 1 exalt. Okay.
Looking fierce.
Keep moving. Hair effect innervates. Nah. Chance to chill attackers on block. You know, I've wanted to use one of these shields. You can get chance to chill an attacker, or chance to shock, or I think even ignite an attacker on block. And those all seem pretty decent. Particularly the shock one. Guaranteed shock in a build that otherwise can't access it could be nice. Some LE to cold, some LE to sword attacks rather. I don't see that being particularly useful. Maybe for an LE Reeve build, but those rolls are kind of low, I think. 69 life, 41 cold res, some crit chance, and a strength roll. That's pretty solid. Go ahead and list that for like 20 chaos, I think. 15, 20 chaos would be my estimate. I don't think we need to thoroughly price check that one. LE damage to dagger attacks. I have had a few of those sell, but no, they were usually like 3 or 4 props, with all of them fairly high rolled synergistic LE damage to dagger attacks. Golden Chris is a good base. This is eye level 82. The rolls on that are not particularly interesting, but the Golden Chris is a good base. I think they can sell. So is Sorcerer Gloves. And a Royal Burgeonet. God dang. Not particularly impressed by that, nor this. Some crit multi, some life, which is enhanced by some strength, a little bit of flat fizz, but not much, and a little bit of accuracy. It's okay. It's got all the rolls you want, just some of the rolls are lackluster. But it does have all the rolls you want. Oh, and there's the twin of that one. Okay. Let's drop this currency. Can hold this in my Shaper tab for future use. And we'll price these since it's a twofer. We'll start with those. So we got an amulet here. It has how much life total? 89 life, 20 strength and blizzard. So that's 99 life on an amulet. That's kind of silly. That's a lot. So we're going to go with 80 as our minimum. That's where most of our value is coming from, that life roll. So in order to get an accurate price check, we're going to look for things that are most similar to it in that regard. You have to ID where your value is coming from, know where most of the value in the item is coming from, and be more strict in that regard and less strict in others. For instance, here, the crit chance is nice, but not really pulling a lot of weight. It's more the life and the high stats. So we're going to look for an amulet with life and very similarly high stats. So we've got 50 dex. That dex could just as well be int or, well, not really strength, because the strength would add more life. So we're going to look for one with like dexterity or int here, over 50. And the total collection of attributes is also pretty high, with 40 attributes coming from the implicit and 50 from the explicit. So it's 90 total attributes. And then we'll also look for critical strike chance. Just basically any amount of that. See what we find. Nothing. I didn't count. Count. Minimum. 1. That should bring up some results. No? Offline? Really? Okay. Let's bring these down to, say, 40. Tone down the stats a bit. Did I put a field in incorrectly somewhere? Drop the crit chance? 9,500 results. Okay. Yeah. Did I hit the wrong field here? I feel like I may have. Let's try that again. There we go. Yeah, I must have hit the wrong field there. I'm not sure what it was, but I'm sure someone will catch that in the video for me. All right, let's do this. 50, 50, online, search. Original search, 162. We're looking at 1C, 2C. Yeah, nothing particularly impressive. So let's up that crit chance roll. Get a slightly more accurate price check, but I don't think this has that much value. 30. 66 results. We're looking at 2C. This is our baseline price. Our life roll is 99, so let's sort by total life, see if we find something similar. 25, 40. We can actually, since we have 66 results here, we can be a little bit more stringent on our most valuable stat. So we'll just do like 95 total life. Normally I would never search for something quite that high, but we want to find an accurate price check. And this has actually similar collection of attribute stars too, so I think this is where we can put it. We can start them around 10C and then lower them. Alright. Let me transition back into game here. And do let me know in the comments below if you want me to split this up into chunks and do smaller episodes, or if you like this long form. But we're going to go ahead and check the value of a I level 82 plus Elder Touch ring, because we got 2 of those right here. And I imagine that has some value to it. 2 stone. 2 stone ring. Elder. Yes. I level 82. Search. Alright, that's 15C each. Just for the bases, not too shabby. Have these rolled well at all? No. Let's check PoE affix. Accessories, ring. That's a quiver. Elder mods, you can get Poacher's Mark and Warlord's Mark on hit. You can get that at I-80, Warlord's Mark, I-80 for both. Okay. So we could just craft on these and try and get them to roll Curse, and if they do, I imagine they'll be worth a good amount more than the base. What we're going to do is we're going to split the difference. We're going to list one of these up. This one, because it doesn't have particularly good rolls. So let me transition back into game. This one, because it doesn't have particularly good rolls, we're going to list this up just for the price of the base, which is 15C. Right? I just want to make sure that it's not like being price fixed or something. This is probably a pretty high value item. There's only a few at 15. We might want to list it a little bit higher. We'll start it at like 18. Don't need the currency at the moment. We can overlist. And then we'll hold on to this one to craft on. So that can go in my crafting basis box. And we can work on that in the future. And maybe I'll have like an interesting video on it to bring to you guys at some point. That'd be nice. Oops. Royal Bourgeois. We should check the value of that base. Something you guys should be able to do in your sleep by this point. And I will filter these out of the next episode if we keep to this format. Shaped. No, this is Elder. Yes. And the item level on you? 81. Can't imagine that has that much value. People will go for an I-84. Oh no, it's still worth 10C. Okay. These things are kind of lucrative. Just getting Elder and Shaper onto decently high tier maps. Can make a good amount of money just selling literally any decent base that drops. Alright. Sorcerer Gloves. Sorcerer Gloves. Clicking is difficult. I-81 Elder. Yes. 5C seems to be about the price for those. And a Golden Chris. Golden Chris. I shouldn't have reset the whole search. Now we have to go do this again. Elder. What eye level was it? 82. 82. I don't think new rolls pop up at 82. These not relevant ones for weapons. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is only meant for 15 hours, but this has been up for a week at 2, so I think we can start it at 3, and then if it doesn't sell, we lower it over time. Unless the rolls are any good. No, they're not. Alright. And, ooh, an amulet. Though it's a power amulet. But let's just see. What's the price of any generic Elder Touched amulet? That is eye level 81 plus. Search. Not worth all that much. This is Elder Touched? Oh, right, because it's the Elder... That's interesting. I wonder if I can roll Elder rolls. So if you corrupt one of the Elder Touch uniques, and it corrupts into a rare, can that rare then roll Elder rolls? Huh. Interesting. Looks like 3C for a non-corrupted one. We can do that. We'll go ahead and transition back to game. We're going to list this one at 15 to 20 chaos, so we'll just start it at the higher end of that. I definitely clicked you. And where were you going? Oh, right, that's the one with a bunch of mid-range rolls. Crit multi's quite good. Everything else is kind of meh. Well, the strength is actually pretty good as a strength roll, but it's more supplementary life. I think what we'll do is start this at like 15C. And lower that over time. Like most things. There's a lot more of this to go, by the way. We're not doing all this in the episode. This is what I gotta do after the episode is done. No, we're just finishing this tab out, which we're just about done with, so. For those of you who stuck it out to the end, I applaud you. Thank you. And there's a lot more to come, so if you're enjoying, then, well, maybe hit that follow button. I'm streaming a lot. That subscribe button on YouTube. Maybe the follow button on Twitch if you like that, too. You can see all this loot being gathered. Increased dexterity. It's a Sanct's Hauberk, which is a good base, but it's a body armor, and it's only I-81, not 84. Golden Buckler is, I don't think, a particularly good base for evasion. It's I-76 as well, and those rolls aren't great. Not particularly good. Quiver, a Shaper Quiver above a certain eye level, above I think I-80, can roll an additional arrow. A lot of people are doing that to then try and corrupt for a second additional arrow, so any Quiver above eye level 80 as a Shaper base can be worth at least a few chaos, particularly Spike Point Quivers. Sold a few of those for 40C+. Flesh Ripper is a good base, I-82 as well. and a gutting knife, not a very good base, and not very good rolls. Again, you need like a good core of the item, and then also a decent shaper mod in order to sell it. We don't have that good core on that item there. So we just got a few more things to look at here. Again, pretty much just for the bases, because neither of these had particularly good rolls. So let's see. We're going to look for just a quiver. At least 2 days ago, I think is the last time I got a Shaper Touch quiver at this eye level. It was worth something just for being a Shaper Touch quiver. Eye level 81. Search. We're going to want to look for not corrupted. Because as I said, a lot of people are corrupting these. And there you go. Doesn't matter the base. You got some value out of it. This is a penetrating arrow quiver, which, you know, you see one right here. Not kind of the base people are looking for. 20, 22, but the base doesn't matter that much because people are looking to corrupt it and get rid of the base and add another arrow instead. So we're going to put this up for 22 chaos. Seems to be about the price of just the item itself. It's a pretty good market in those. Next is a Elder Touch Flesh Ripper. That is eye level 81. And that is a 5C base right there. The rolls are not particularly good, so we'll just put it up for the 5C that we can get out of it. Alright, well, that's going to be it. We've made it through a tab. I've got a few more to slog through, but I'm not going to force you guys along that journey with me. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, then, you know, consider subscribing to the channel, following the Twitch, tweetling at me on the Twitters, all of those different things. And yeah, leave your thoughts, comments, questions down in the comment section below. If you've got any questions on why I price something the way I did, if you've got comments on that, if you want to correct my pricing on something, please leave all that below. It's all welcome. I'd be happy to hear it. And I hope to see you in the next one. Have a good one, everybody.